Good morning, my friends. Today we were going to be making empanadas. It's Sunday morning, and we are going to be using this thing here, the tortilla maker. We're going to be making empanadas of frijol con queso, beans with cheese. So let's go. And I'm not going to press them too hard because I want to make sure there's room for, where they're thick enough to where they're not going to, break apart. And I figured I'd go ahead and make tortillas out of this too. So maybe make a few tortillas out of this. Anyway, let's get at it. This is how it comes out. We're going to go ahead and add some beans, spread some beans in there. And some cheese. Fix this camera a little bit too. This is how it's looking. Got some beans, and we're going to add some cheese to the center. And then we're going to close it in. Then we're going to fry them. We already have a hot pan of grease ready. So this is how the empanada looks. Just close it in. And we're going to throw it into the frying pan. It's already hot. And that's what we're going to do. Let me show you the frying pan. There it's frying in the pan, and we're going to flip it over here in a second. I got regular flour today. I don't have the masarina, the other kind. The one that's corn masa. I have the flour masa. So that's what we're going to do today. We get these things rolling. Get some beans in there. And then we're going to be making potatoes on the side to go with the empanadas, because it's breakfast time, but I just thought I'd do something different. Later on, we're going to be making chicken strips and probably some wings also. So anyway, here's our empanada. I'll get it in the grease. They're looking perfect, y'all. And this is how they're looking. Today we're only going to make about 8 of them. Like I said, there's only 3 of us. And then you can heat them up throughout the day like burritos. If you want to heat them up throughout the day. Probably have a couple of them for breakfast with a side of papas, potatoes. And they got beans and cheese in them, but you can put whatever you want in them. And right now, being the times as hard as they are, you need a the people that are having a hard time struggling right now to buy cheaper stuff such as beans, cheese, flour, and make your stuff homemade. And that will help you reduce on costs, on spending, and find ways to save and, save on everything. Yeah, so you want to find ways to cut on costs right now that things are as hard as they are around the world. And so you want to try to save all you can. And the way to do it is by preparing your own stuff at home and not so much in restaurants and excess spending that you don't need. That way you can get your bills paid and stuff. And buy your packs of meat and prep them and chop them up and cut them up and put them in baggies and stick them in the freezer. And that way when you need a bag, just pull one bag of what you need. I used to do that all the time when mine were little, my kids were little, and that way I could, be just taking out a baggie at a time. Then you mix it with potatoes or mix it with rice, fideo, conchitas, macaron, whatever, and that way you have your baggie to mix stuff with, and then that meat's going to become more. When you mix it with macaroni, you mix it with whatever different stuff, and that meat's gonna feed more people. and with a smaller portion of meat. And that way you could expand it and, you know, make more meals out of your pack of meat, especially since they're also expensive right now. You got to find ways to cut and save, and that is a good way to do it. And buy your bottles of water. Buy your bottled water right now that things are going the way they're doing, with the water possibly being poisoned and stuff. And find ways to cut on costs and prepare yourself for these coming days. And these are the empanadas that I got so far. The other ones are still cooking. Let's see, they're going to be on some cheesy and beans. And you can add whatever you want. You might want ground beef or anything you want in there, or a side of rice. But me, this is good. First, I'll start the potatoes. And what's left over of the masa, we are just making small tortillas. Like I said, it's all flour, so decided to make small tortillas. And I'll show you how my camal is looking. This is it. I got 3 tortillas going at once because they're small. Here's the plate of my stack so far. We're going to make the rest into tortillas. I remember when we were little, we used to love eating small tortillas because we were little kids and we just enjoyed the little ones. So today we're not rolling them out. We're just making them like this on the masher gun. Just squeezing down and making our tortilla. And that's the way we're going to make them today. I have a rolling pin, but today I decided to do it like this because people are always making their corn tortillas like this. I thought I want to make small tortillas today. And there's times you're eating and you only want half of a tortilla. So this is a good way to, you know, if you make small ones, then you won't waste the other half or whatever. So this is it. Okay, friends, so our tortillitas are ready, and we're fixing to show you how we diced up our potatoes. And these are our potatoes that we had left over from the baked potatoes yesterday. You remember how I was telling y'all, whenever y'all can cut on cost, go ahead and use up your leftovers from the day before. And like these baked potatoes, we're able to cut them down to size and make them for breakfast the next morning to go with our bean empanadas, bean and chin empanadas. So let's get them cooking. Okay, my friends, we got our plato ready. We have 2 empanadas in here. I put some green chile jalapeno sauce with some white queso. And we got our fried potatoes. And we're going to sprinkle a little bit of cheese on our potatoes. And if you like spicy, you can add your salsa also to your potatoes. A little bit, just to make them a little green. A little tastier if you like spicy. And so let's give it a taste. Delicious. And these are empanadas. I sprinkle a little white cheese and jalapeno sauce, and you can add your guacamole, add whatever. And they are very, very good. Already had me one while I was cooking. But this is it right here. Very tasty. Like I said, you can fill it with whatever you want inside your empanadas. These are flour tortilla empanadas. And you can fill it with whatever you want. Ground beef or whatever. I just got beans and cheese. Later on, we're going to be making chicken strips, so y'all stay tuned. God bless y'all and have a great Sunday.